in the foreigner sense. Let me introduce your players. Because that's a thing people do. In the barcode, yes, it is HeroMarine. Take my word for it. This is from his replay pack. I can only assume he is the Terran player. Alright, the German juggernaut. And on the other side, I think Cham is from Mexico? I want to say, from Root Gaming. I'm not 100% sure on that point. I believe he's from Mexico, but I'm not 100%. So I'll have to get corrected on that, probably. We'll have to see. HeroMarine is opting for a command center first. He's banking up the minerals. He has no SCVs out of the map. He's not going to proxy Rex anyone. This is Proxima Station. Which means, of course, you have access to the wall at the ramp. And that means you can't really take damage early on. They have to commit to some sort of massive and very easily scoutable all-in if they want to break your ramp. So HeroMarine taking full advantage of that. Whatever allows him to get more, no puns intended, heroic Marines out early on, he's going to opt for. He's a big fan of the command center first, no gas, just get 3, maybe even 4 barracks, and then hit some sort of timing to throw a Zerg or a Protoss or even, well, not usually a Terran. You don't go CC first against Terran. That's suicidal. Don't do that. The fuck? Thanks, Blizzard. Anyways, it does look like Cham. He's opting. Now, you have the option of 2 bases. HeroMarine has obviously gone to the back. It's kind of a given that you're going to expand here, especially against Zerg as a Terran. Because, of course, as a Terran player, you're vulnerable to large masses of units, a Zerg rush. Whereas a Zerg player wants to project themselves. They want to have a foothold on the map so they don't get contained. They don't have as strong ranged units early on. They need creep to work well. So Cham opting for that hatchery in the front means he'll have a foothold at the bottom of this ramp, and HeroMarine can't abuse that. And instead, Cham can actually move out onto the map itself. Alright, he's going to get a scout. He sees, based on this Marine timing and the add-on timing, let's see what everything he saw here. Yeah, he's got to realize this was a CC first. This Marine was very late, and the reactor is very late. He has a very good idea of what's happening. He might not know 100%, but 95, 98 is definitely around the number. Okay. Cham, has he pulled off a guess? You'll see a lot of pro Zerg players do this. Zergling speed is an insanely effective upgrade. Getting Zergling speed is the first priority in pretty much every matchup. But for a little while after that, there's a build-up period where, especially if you're not going to do some sort of all-in attack, and Cham realizing that's probably a terrible idea, and then you pull off of gas in order to have more mineral mining. He's going back into it now. We'll see if that's for upgrades or for Overlord speed. Who knows? But as soon as you get that Zergling speed, you stop mining gas in order to get more minerals for queens, for drones, for a third hatchery. So you can build up and actually match a Terran player who's working off of mules and a pretty disgusting income with a command center first. It does look like we have the 1-1-1, the Destiny Cloud Fist build coming out. As HeroMarine is opting for the Barracks Factory and Starport, he's not going for a bunch of Marines, but instead less infrastructure, less buildings, less barracks or anything like that, and relying on very powerful units like Hellions and Cloaked Banshees that force a certain response. A Cloaked Banshee means you need detection. Detection means you need Spore Crawlers, Overseers. It cuts into your economy before it kills a single drone. Hellions can keep dozens of Zerglings out for the cost of 3, 4, 5. 6 Hellions means you pretty much can't attack with Zerglings, especially not off a creep anymore. So HeroMarine is using these small amounts of units to maximize their effectiveness, and I think he's going to be going for a third command center in just a moment. And just using these, he's not going to throw them away to try to kill drones. They're pretty much here to limit the drone count just by existing and making sure he can get his third base up, he can build up his infrastructure and power forward. Cham has 4 queens. Queen's a solid defense against pretty much everything Terran can do early on besides direct bio pushes. Banshees, Hellions, they can push them away. Are there Spore Crawlers? It looks like there are. Did the Overlord get a scout? It didn't, but the Hellions mean there's going to be a starport. He knows that already. So we'll have to see how many kills are going to be picked up here. Spore Crawlers are already done. They're not supposed to kill the Banshee. At this level, you're not going to kill a Banshee with a Spore. It's there for detection, so the Queens can drive them away. speaking of queens. The Banshee's just was on hold position, at least for a moment, in this key spot, right where he can't quite detect it. If you look at Cham's vision, he knows it's right there, but he can't do anything about it. The lair's about to finish. He can make an Overseer, but he's decided, okay, I can't do... There's nothing else to do. I'll make some more drones. And he's deflected this quite well. But at the same time, it's done everything HeroMarine needed it to do. It kept Cham back. It kept him worrying about his defenses. It kept him contained. There was no chance of him coming across the map and pressuring this third command center. And that means HeroMarine can explode in infrastructure. He's up to 5 racks, a reactor slapped onto the starport, and also onto the factory. He can double up on those Widow Mines. Cham, on the other hand, is looking for a more tech-heavy style. Roach Warren and Infestation Pit simultaneously. I'm not sure. The Roach Warren might... I'm not sure if he actually wants to go Roach Ravager or not. He hasn't committed to Zergling upgrades. That's important. HeroMarine will see 1 Evo Chamber upgrading, but he won't see any of the important tech. He won't see the Infestation Pit. He won't see the Roach Warren. And this means he doesn't know how quickly the Cham can go up to Hive. A very passive game. This map, if the players decide to do so, means it will be a passive game. That's just how it is. It's very difficult to attack directly, especially early on. And that Hive, the 6-minute and 30-second Hive, not the quickest you've ever seen, but it's not too far off. He's going to use the Roaches, the Ravagers, Infestors, and Queens to push back the Terran and get those powerful Hive units like Ultralisks and Banshees, but it's on HeroMarine to push the Zerg back and put on pressure and try to overwhelm him before he gets those insanely cost-effective Hive units. We know it's Ultras because he doesn't have a Spire on the way. A Spire on the way means Brood Lords, but Brood Lords are very difficult to rush to. It has to be the Ultras on the deck against the bio. Alright, we see the Queens targeting down one of the Banshees. Won't quite pick it up. The Transfuses are coming out. Will force a pickup as HeroMarine will maintain his medevacs and most of his bio. This will be driven back, but it forced units out, which means Cham doesn't have as many drones. He's remedying that now. 13 more drones in production. He has to split his units. He has to be the defender. That's just how it is. That's what medevacs mean. You are on defense because you can't catch him. He doesn't have Corruptors to kill medevacs. He doesn't have Queens, I guess, but it's not really a killing the medevac situation. It's a minimizing damage situation because right now he's trying to just hold himself back. He's holding himself back. He doesn't want to overextend until he goes for a big knockout blow with the Ultralisks. Adrenal glands are on the way for the Zerglings. He's just prioritizing the Carapace upgrades. He is stretched very thin on money. His gas is precious. So he has to prioritize which are the most important upgrades. And Adrenal glands and Carapace upgrades are very cost-effective in this army. HeroMarine, on the other side, I think has realized... Well, he realizes by the Roaches, the Ravagers, and the way Cham is playing, this isn't going to be Mutas. This isn't going to be a bunch of Ling Bane. He's going for Hive. He's going for Ultras. We're going to the later game. So he's got another push coming out. This is the key push timing. He sees the Ultralisk Cavern. That is the kickoff point there. You know you have about 1 minute. You have a small window to get damage done. Yeah, there are some Infestors. There are Roaches. There are Ravagers. But he still has Banshees. He still has a lot of bio. He's pre-splitting. He forces out the Fungals. There are no more Fungals. He's stepping forward. There's a tank as well. He'll be forced to siege up on the edge of the creep. But this is HeroMarine's moment. He knows there are no Ultras and no chitinous plating, which makes them essentially unkillable with just Marines. But a lot of Roach Ravagers coming in. It doesn't have the +2 Carapace. It's 1-1 versus 0-1 on everything on the ground. HeroMarine continues to stream across the map. He's got 99, 100 to 114 army supply, but those Ultras are still in the mail right now. He's going to back off. He does have a 4th command center. No, he doesn't. Is he going to lift his main? I don't think so. So he's just putting on this 3-base pressure, but he still has a very high economy. All right. Liberators are on the way. This is HeroMarine realizing, okay, even if I do damage, it probably won't kill him. I got to put pressure on. He can still deal with Ultras. He just has to be careful. He has to keep off the creep. He can't get fungled, but if he doesn't, he might be okay. Yeah, chitinous plating is not done. These are still Paperlisks. HeroMarine has a lot of supply and tanks in the back. They can be targeted on everything. He's about to finish. +2 attack, which severely increases the effectiveness of these bio units, even against the Ultralisks. Now he's taking this forward position. A lot of Terrans will be scared to do this, but HeroMarine is very confident in controlling his units. But here come the Ultras. Queen's in the back for Transfuse. He's backing off. The tanks will be ripped from the field. HeroMarine realizing he's bitten off more than he can chew and trying to spit it out before he chokes on the Ultralisk. The Infestors are in the back. A great concave here. The Liberator's not quite perfectly sieged. A good fungal on the right side. The Ultras are trying to come through, but they're stopped by the Roach Ravager. And that means HeroMarine can actually turn around. Maybe not the engagement that Cham wanted to take there, losing his Ultras at the front end of things. Yeah, Liberators and tanks, the double siege in that positioning. It's all about the engagement angle. If the Zerg comes in from a couple different sides, the splash damage from the tanks is spread out. The bio can't really micro away. But if they're coming down almost single file down a ramp, well, the firing squad starts. But here comes a lot of Lings. The Spire is on the way as Cham hitting that next tech switch, realizing HeroMarine can deal with these Ultras. Not all Terrans can, but HeroMarine is dealing with the Ultras, and he's actually pushing. And the only way to actually stop this push, the only way to clear it out, is with Corruptors and then ideally Brood Lords, because tanks and Liberators mean your army is getting zoned almost all the way out. We have a big counterattack. Ravagers. Is he going to go for the flank, or is he going to go for the cutoff? It looks like a little bit of both. He's flanking in from either side. Here comes Cham, the Zerg army, the Zerg sandwich. As the Liberators are caught in the middle, they're still doing a lot of damage. Somehow HeroMarine stands tall in the middle of the fire. And I don't understand it, but HeroMarine comes out on top. Beautiful targeting. He takes out the northern flank. He cleans up the southern one. Most of the medevacs survived. There are more tanks, more reinforcements, and what looked like a beautiful engagement for Zerg as HeroMarine Terran through the front. Oh, the beautiful, very confident play as always. And he's in the front base. It's 155 to 136 supply. The medevacs are completely out of energy. Some infested Terrans come out. He didn't have enough energy for fungal. He'll be able to take out some of these. There goes one of the bases. He catches the tail end of those infestors leaving the battlefield. He does have to retreat. He doesn't have the energy to heal up these units to fall. Alright, but HeroMarine has a fourth base. He's maintained most of his important units, his medevacs, his tanks, and some of his Liberators. Cham has lost a base. He still has 61 drones, but that's not as good as he once had. He doesn't have a Greater Spire on the way yet. That might change in just a moment. But he doesn't really have the money to go for Brood Lords, not after that fight. He lost Ultras. He lost a base. He lost some of his infestors. And he lost a lot of momentum. Yeah, Zergling counterattacks are coming by. HeroMarine knows when to back off. Ultras, he attacked up until another round of Ultras could come out and then backs off. Gets the cancel on the CC as well at the last second. Maximizing every little bit. Yeah. Ultra, Corruptor, Infestor. This is still a fighting force. This is a brawling force right now. This is not the slow Brood Lord Queen push. This is catch the Terran out of position and rip them to shreds. A couple fungals and this all changes, but HeroMarine now is the more passive player. He's out on the map, he's clearing up creep, but he knows he's done damage. And it's kind of on Cham to fight here. I'm not sure this is what he's looking for. I'm not sure what the Corruptors are doing here. I don't think Cham is really paying... Okay. There's a fungal comes out, doesn't quite land, but Cham, he was trying to catch this army at the north. He was microing there. So he loses a lot of the army at the south. I'm not sure. Cham coming in. He's being very bold with the Ultralists. I'm not entirely sure why, though. Tanks are going to help out a lot. The Planetary even getting some shots in. Cham looks like he's kind of falling apart a little bit. As neither of those engagements were really... One at a time, they both fell as HeroMarine knocked him back. He lost a couple Liberators. He lost a couple medevacs. A lot of medevacs, actually, but that was never going to be a winning fight for Cham. Well, 5 more Ultras are on the way. Without medevacs, it's hard for HeroMarine to push forward. He can hold on, but he can't push forward nearly as easily. He can't threaten drops. So the Corruptors did help. Not as cost-effectively as he might have liked. But they did help. HeroMarine gives it a good scan. He actually sees one of the Brood Lords morphing. Immediately 3 Vikings and a... Well, a Thor was already in production. But... Plus 2 mech weapons as well. 4 Vikings. Out of double reactored starports. I don't believe he has any ship weapons upgrades. He doesn't. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Thanks, Blizzard. And they just come in and turn on my music every time. Alright. Another thing to point out, it's just +1 melee with +3 carapace against 3/3. HeroMarine has established a 5th base. He's got sensor tower coverage. The game has slowed down, as HeroMarine lost the ability to move out with his medevacs, but Cham lost the ability to really put on any pressure with those failed attacks. He doesn't really have creep spread, so whenever he moves off a creep, he runs the risk of losing everything. An Ultralisk counter-attack is moving towards the north. I don't know if he actually wants to do something with this so much as make the army very scared. There are several Vikings up here. There's not that many Corruptors to match them. They're more on the way, and HeroMarine getting a Ghost Academy as well. Some casual Ultralisk moving in. Thank you, hands. I'm not sure where the Infestor went. One Ultra almost biting it. But this did bring the army back. It bought a little bit of time for Cham. That's really what he was looking for. A big fungal comes out. I'm still like, you're not going to win that fight, though. The DPS on that Terran army, even against the very strong Ultras, is pretty disgusting. So. Oh my god. Looks like a couple Ultras just got liberated there as he tried to come in for the cheeky counterattack. Didn't expect the Liberators to still be sieged up. HeroMarine now moving up the front. Swinging around to the right side. He sees the Infestors. He's got to be very careful not to get flanked here. Fungals could be devastating. A big fungal on the entire army. It's also on the Vikings as well. It's not dangerous quite yet. A couple more fungals might change all of that, though. HeroMarine still has a lot of supply, but the Vikings are starting to die, and the Brood Lords are pushing it back. HeroMarine, in an uncharacteristic display, just loses all of his key units there. He lost all of his Vikings, most of his Liberators. I don't really know why, either. But Cham gets the fight he's been waiting for. It almost kind of walked into his lap. And now that'll even up the supplies. There are ghosts on the way. He's got Thors and Vikings and every bit of anti-air you could hope for. And there's no other Ultras, and there's not that many of Ling Bane on the ground. So if he deals with the Brood Lords, he deals with the brunt of this. But the siege will begin. How many Vikings? Only 4 Vikings, 3 ghosts, and only 20 Marines as well. As Cham is leaning on the one advantage he has, which is the Brood Lord tech. He has air superiority. Will HeroMarine be able to take the fight? There's still a few fungals in there, I think. We got some snipes coming out. They will hit some of the Brood Lords. The Corruptor's clearing out most of the anti-air. HeroMarine is stepping forward. There are a couple more fungals where that came from. A lot of the Brood Lords have gone down. He's down to 4. More being targeted. He does have the high-impact Thors as well. Snipes coming out. And it does look like with the Thors as the backbone and the snipes to finish things off, Cham just didn't have enough meat on the ground. These fights kind of going, neither player really that confident until they're winning dramatically. But HeroMarine just kind of winning the war of attrition there. He stood taller than Cham in that fight. There, like, 1 or 2 Ultras might have changed it all. But there were no Ultras to be seen. Cham has not had much money. He's finally back to a good income. He's retaken that middle base a while back. He has most of the bases on this right side. It's not nearly over yet. But the Brood Lords have been removed. And we're back to Ultralisks. But Ghosts and Thors are quite good against Ultras as well. So Cham is kind of flip-flopping back into the Ultralisk tech. Because he needs something now. He can't wait for another round of Brood Lords. If HeroMarine had just attacked, he probably would have died if he had gone for Brood Lords. But Ultras, it's kind of like going back to Windows Vista after upgrading to almost anything else. It wasn't that great to start, and it's even worse now that there's something better. And here come the Liberators, the snipes. The fungals are coming in, but the Zerg army getting absolutely obliterated. And HeroMarine finally getting the late game Terran and crushing through. And staying in the game a little while longer to enjoy the victory lap.